carnival atmosphere here today at Mallala as we prepare for the next round of the Australian Production Car Championship. We have the cars out on the racetrack at the moment. And Peter Fitzgerald today will lead them away after a top lap yesterday. Fitzgerald on pole with a 121.71 seconds. Mark Gibbs in the Toyota Supra, 122.46. Out of 3, 10 Ken Douglas in the Toyota Supra with a 122.56 from 4. Car number 2, John Burke in another Toyota Supra. From 5, car number 1, Gary Walden in the Mazda RX-7. From 6, Ian Palmer in a Commodore. From 7, car number 16, Alan Fender, and also in a Commodore. From 8, car number 41, Kevin Waldock in a Commodore. From 9, car 58, Kent Youlden in a Falcon. And from 10:35, Andrew Newton in a Honda CRX. And we have a field this afternoon of 13 starters.
A bit smaller than we're used to seeing, but after the decimation of Lakeside, it's not surprising, I guess.
Now, there was certainly a lashing of crashing up there, and joining us this afternoon, Brad Jones from the mobile team. Brad, of course, cut his teeth in production car racing for a number of years, and we have fine weather today, and let's hope they all get through the first corner.
It is a good day. This morning was a little overcast. Now warm-up was wet, but this is going to be a great race, and now it's dry. It should be more interesting.
About 10 seconds before the start. Lights turn to green. Gibbs off smartly, but it'll be Peter Fitzgerald down on the inside who's got the run of the first turn. Ken Douglas also gets up very smartly down here on the inside. Burke cuts across, and it's going to be very difficult for Gary Walden from here.
Oh, that's pretty tight.
Oh, yes, and Peter Fitzgerald coming out of that second best as they straighten up on the run down past the pits to the right-hander, where everyone jumps on the anchors.
Aggressive Mark Gibbs, they call him, driving Mike Preston's car, by the way, because Preston was towing Mark Gibbs' car over here, and it cut loose off the back of the truck and destroyed itself in the trees on the side of the road. So Preston felt honor bound, I think, to lend Gibbs his car.
There was actually only one tree there, and it hit that one tree, so someone there killed a Chinaman or something, I think.
Mark Gibbs, Peter Fitzgerald. There's John Burke going through. And car number 2, looking for Gary Walden in the Mazda. But fairly tight, so they all jump on the anchors and accelerate hard out through the S's here. Now they work their way to what looks like a straight. It's more like a banana.
This should be a good test for the Supras. Being a stop-go type circuit and a little bit rough, it'll be interesting to see how their brakes and tyres hold up. Old Fitzy's just giving him a tap.
Nothing new.
Yeah. Towards the end of the race, the Mazda isn't that far behind, so this could become quite an interesting battle.
Interestingly, though, the Mazda RX-7 of Gary Walden's is his street car.
Yeah, it's his wife's car, as a matter of fact, and they put the roll bars and all the gear in it, and he's out there now.
His car was another one, of course, that came to grief at Lakeside a couple of weeks ago.
Mark Gibbs still leading from Peter Fitzgerald, very, very close indeed, and Kenny Douglas sitting right in behind. 1, 2, 3, down once again past the pits to the right-hander. Pretty tight through here, Brad.
But that's a very tight section, that, and the end of the other little straight there, it's first gear in the Sierra, so I guess it's second in one of these, but the problem being it's quite narrow and difficult to get past. As you see, Fitzy's trying to push his way through there. When a passing move does come, it'll be quite an interesting thing.
There's the top half dozen cars streaming through. Gibbs, Fitzgerald, Ken Douglas.
Out in the dirt there, and looks like Fitzy's gone around the outside of him, taking the lead.
That was a good move.
John Burke in 4th spot, Gary Walden 5th.
12 laps the distance of this race. They make their way down the back straight. Kenny Douglas moving up right on the tail now. Mark Gibbs down the outside.
He'll be hung out to dry in a minute if he's not careful.
I don't know how on earth he figured that was going to work, but yes, this is the reason for it. He was going to keep it tight through here, but loses out once again through the next one. Good racing, though.
Yeah, fantastic. And what's actually happening here is Berkey and Gary Walden are pulling them in a little while they're pushing and shoving for the lead, so it's all happening. Fitzy's just easing away a bit, but these two are putting on a ding-dong dice.
If these guys are kept busy in the production cars, I can just imagine what it's like in a touring car. Look at this.
Coming up on the tightest corner on the circuit.
I think Gibbsy might have a problem. The thing certainly isn't going all that hard in a straight line, and he's driving it so hard around the corners. I think he's about to lose second place here in a minute. He's on the outside of that sweep, it just isn't the place to be.
He's lost it. Ken Douglas goes through, second spot, Gibbs third, Fitzgerald leads. John Burke fourth, then Gary Walden. Where is he? There he is, the back of that pack. Oops.
As I was saying, these guys are busy. A touring car, particularly in a Cosworth, must be just a barrel of fun.
Especially when it's half damp like it was this morning in the warm-up. They tend to accelerate from bump to bump.
Once again coming back down through the S's on the approach to the start finishing straight. Positions unchanged. Peter Fitzgerald stretching out in the Yokohama entry. Kenny Douglas still runs in second. Mark Gibbs back in third. John Burke is the next one through, and Gary Walden having a bit of trouble staying in touch with them today.
There's becoming a little bit of distance between the four Supras. I'm a little worried about Mark Gibbs. He's either driving the thing just a touch too hard, or he's having real problems with his car. It's a bit hard to tell because the two Supras have gone past him, but he's certainly not catching up to them again, so we'll just have to watch that progress.
Who's minding the shop at the mobile camp? Because Peter Brock has just joined our 7 commentary as well, so we've got Brad Jones and Brocky both here.
Got the boss here.
I've just come to keep my eye on Bradley here to find out what he's been saying to the folks out there.
Well, what he's been saying is that the Toyota Supras are carrying the day here so far in this third round of the Australian Production Car Championship. Peter Fitzgerald, after being muscled out at the first corner by Mark Gibbs, regaining the lead and now stretching out quite a comfortable margin. Peter Fitzgerald leads on the Castrol race score, the Caltex race score. Ken Douglas in second spot, Mark Gibbs third, then John Burke and Gary Walden. Cars going through at the end of 6 laps. John Burke disappearing off the edge of the screen in 4th spot. And the car on screen, number 1, Gary Walden, the Mazda RX-7. He's in 5th spot at the present time. And as we mentioned, it's his wife's car, his own car, being destroyed at Lakeside a couple of weeks back.
Burke's car's been blowing a little bit of smoke for the last couple of laps, and I just noticed Gary's gone past him then, so that's 1 up. I think that brings him up to 4th.
Walden 4th. Peter Fitzgerald continues to lead the race from Ken Douglas and Mark Gibbs.
There's a very large gap to Gibbs now, though. I think it's going to take a while to make any impression on that. But Gibbs is definitely falling back, so there's a problem there. I'm not sure what tyres he's on at the moment.
Leading Commodore, Ian Palmer, car number 7, tucked in just behind this pair. He's in 6th. So he's doing best of all the Commodores.
That's Mike Preston's car that he was using last year, and he's just about to get Burke as well.
Something wrong with Burke's car, I'd say.
He's definitely got a problem.
Kevin Waldock back in the field for the Commodores, along with Alan Fender as well, and a couple of the Honda CRXs competing in this category too.
Burke hasn't given up. He's just sliced up Palmer there, and it's full on.
A couple of cars off into the grass over on the back of the circuit. No harm done though. And talking about off the circuit, news on Gary Jones, who went into the fence in the Formula Ford race. He's been taken to hospital for examination, but we understand apart from pretty severe shaking and some bruises, he's otherwise okay. It's good news.
Well, my understanding of this particular class of racing at the moment is that the tyre situation is reasonably critical, and the guys in front have got a bit of a limited life on their tyres, and they possibly are finding some fellas had stretched it a little bit, and they're having to fall back a bit.
Well, the Commodores look to be working their tyres fairly hard. I notice it's Kevin Waldock, I think, catching up to Berkey now, and he's not that much. There's not that much distance between he and Ian Palmer. Ian's certainly driving his car hard if he skips across the curve there.
Mind you, this circuit is not difficult for things not to run to the script, because it is extremely tight, and it's pretty easy to pick up a bit of tyre wear or a flat tyre or a flat spot one, and nearly anywhere you look around the circuit, cars are going into these very tight corners with wheels locked up. Who knows, that may have contributed to their problems.
Well, these guys are doing quite well, really. They're passing in all sorts of places. This is quite a narrow circuit, and it's not an easy place to push past or, just pass it anywhere. So they're doing a good job, really.
This man in 6th position, Ian Palmer. Kevin Waldock running 7th. He's also got past John Burke. Waldock in the Blast Dynamics Commodore.
Kevin's a guy that actually owned Andrew Madecki's Sierra that burst into flames at Lakeside. So I guess he's hoping for a good result, because it's going to be a little while before he actually hops back into a Sierra.
BMW 325 going through there, driven by Jim Keogh, and here's Andrew Newton in car 35, the Honda CRX. There are 3 of them competing in this field. He's in 10th position at the present time.
Well, Andrew Newton has impressed me, actually, as a press-on regardless driver. You'll notice that this particular car has got some damage on it. If you maybe notice as he turns around to the opposite angle. No, I stand corrected. That must be his teammate.
Farrell,
Farrell, yes, he's been carved up there with a couple of the bigger cars. But by gee, they're going remarkably well for little things.
Well, Andrew's had varied career, come through Formula Club racing, plus Formula Vs, Formula Fords as well.
Jim Keogh, hello. Certainly not the line to take for that corner. I hope you were watching up on Brad Jones.
So I'm taking notes of that.
Taking notes. Don't take the inside line on the end of Main Straight.
These little cars were so fast yesterday in the wet, you couldn't believe the speed that they were generating through some of these turns here. It was just amazing how quick they were going.
Well, they're putting up pretty good performance, although obviously pretty much outgunned by the turbocharged Supras in this category of racing.
Well, they are at some circuits. At Lakeside in Queensland, they're only 7/10 slower than the Supra, so it's amazing to get a small car like that so close to the outright pace.
Well, the Leighton House boys, with their team of cars, have done a great job. And so's this man done a great job.
Fitzy's certainly doing a good job. He's kept the same sort of distance between himself and Ken Douglas for the entire time. Douglas has got past Gibbs.
Laps are running out for Douglas to be able to do something about it.
Gee, those cars look pretty good through the corners. It's just astonishing. Here we are with Group E production touring cars, and they're probably faster than the old improved production cars of a few years ago.
Gary Walden almost coming to a halt down the back part of the circuit. I don't know what's gone amiss with him.
I noticed his car was blowing a lot of smoke the lap before, so he was definitely in trouble. Ian Palmer went past him, so unfortunately it doesn't look like he's going to make it.
Well, it looks like he's walking home tonight, I guess.
Or at least back to the pits.
There's 2 laps to go for the leading contingent, which does not any longer include Gary Walden.
Gary's had quite a rough year, really. The reigning champion, hoping to do the same thing this year, and the effort he's put in to get here is quite substantial. As you said before, the changes he's had to make to his wife's car and the trip over, it's certainly taken its toll this weekend.
So the question is, what happens with the shopping?
Well,
you can't use his old car, I'll tell you that.
Well, we mentioned the circuit and the effect it has on different cars and different drivers. Doesn't seem to bother you, Peter, as far as today's touring car race goes.
No, it's a track's a track, a corner's a corner, a car's a car.
A rev's a rev, yeah.
And a crash is a crash. Now, this is the last lap we're on here, folks, and certainly Fitzgerald is maintaining that gap. He's keeping it very clean and very neat. He's not really under any pressure. When you get that sort of gap ahead of the next car, you can afford to sort of turn the rear vision mirror up in the air and drive on the right line, squeeze the brakes down, feed the power down gently, and generally conserve it. But above all, keep concentration up, because it is the last lap and that's when things can go wrong.
True. The last thing you need to be doing is looking at him go sideways, chasing as hard as he can, and think, God, he's catching me. I better do something about this, because next thing you know, you're in the dirt somewhere.
Well, I think Fitzgerald's been around long enough not to make that mistake, hasn't he?
I guess he has, but it's just the same. Ken's throwing everything at him, and he's closing up a little bit there on the brakes.
Ken Douglas was the man who escaped relatively unscathed from the Lakeside pile-up in production cars. but he's not going to get on the tail of Fitzgerald as they come down with just 3 more corners to go. Right, left and right again through this S-bend. Peter Fitzgerald, car number 3, the Toyota Supra, is going to take the checkered flag in this 3rd round of the Australian Production Car Championship.
And here's Glenn Dix, the man with the form of the flag. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Ken Douglas across the line in 2nd place, and it's quite a gap back to 3rd spot. Mark Gibbs crossing the line now in the borrowed car of Mike Preston.
Fantastic result for Peter Fitzgerald. Got away nicely at the start and was able to capitalise on that completely.